Well, it seems that I can't go to work this morning without hearing about some big news coming out of something that I'm basically still a supporter and a fan of. And that, of course, is wrestling, mostly WWE. And it seems WWE cannot stay out of the news all throughout this week. If it isn't Seth Rollins speaking his mind and defending the company and getting criticized for it, then it's either WWE doing what they did that was talked about today, or doing what they did that was made news yesterday. And in case you don't know what made news yesterday, WWE has decided that because Evolve Wrestling was the foundation and the original home of a lot of the current WWE and WWE NXT superstars, men and women, that I guess as a bit of a thank you, they've decided to test the waters finally after talking about it for several years by basically broadcasting a non-WWE event on the WWE network, and that of course is Evolve 131, aka Evolve's 10th anniversary from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia on July 13th, the same day, ironically, as AEW's Fight for the Fallen. And again, this has gotten them in the news for both good reasons and negative reasons. The good being that they're finally giving a huge spotlight and opportunity to a non-WWE promotion that, yes, they are partnered with, but has never gotten the spotlight they're about to get. But on the negative side, they're getting criticized due to the fact that they're going up against AEW's Fight for the Fallen, which in a sense is a charity event being held where the proceeds will go to victims of families of gun violence, which is a good thing, which is a good charity to donate to the victims, to the families of the victims of gun violence. It's a great charity, great cause. But it's gotten WWE under a lot of scrutiny due to the fact that they're going up against a charity event. A charity event which, in the eyes of a lot of people, proves WWE is worried about AEW. They are worried about All Elite Wrestling, and they see them as so much as a threat that even before they have an official show debut, they're going up against something that's basically basically a non-profit event for them, and is more of a profit charitable event for families who have lost loved ones due to gun violence. So yeah, if it isn't Seth and it isn't this, then the other thing that made the news for them as of this morning is something that really knocked a lot of people for a loop. You see, recently word broke out that WWE was going to have a meeting with Fox executives, because the Fox executives, who happen to be soon to be housing Smackdown under the roof starting in October, are not too thrilled with some of the recent ratings and lack of viewership and interest in the WWE product. A product which they are going to be partnered with for the next 5 years. They're not too thrilled about this. So a meeting has been arranged between the Fox executives and then the McMahon family, which includes Triple H. So I guess to kind of better make themselves look better, to make themselves understand and that this is a major issue, they decided to do something that fans have been wondering if they'd ever do for years. They finally do something that fans have been believing they need to do to finally get themselves back on the right track. This morning they made the announcement through Sports Illustrated, various wrestling sources, if you will, and mostly through their own website, WWE.com. They made the announcement that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff are coming back. But in a behind-the-scenes role, we know Paul Heyman's still on screen, if you will, as the advocate of Brock Lesnar, but that he's coming back again, but this time in a behind-the-scenes role, along with Eric Bischoff. And what roles are those? Those are the roles of executive directors of both Raw and Smackdown. But the catch is they will not, and I repeat, not be directing together. They will not be directing together. Instead, Paul Heyman will be the executive director behind the scenes of Monday Night Raw, and Eric Bischoff will be the executive director behind the scenes of Smackdown. Whether or not these two roles become on-air characters for them in the future, that is a decision that WWE has yet to make and possibly won't make, due to the fact that they know that even if they made them on-screen characters in these positions of power, that people would just look at them as being general managers, which may or may not be a good thing. And fans are sick and tired of days of general manager. So, is this good news for WWE, or is this news of desperation? It can be looked at both ways. It can be looked at as great news, and it can be looked at as news of desperation. Great news, because this is something a lot of fans have felt is a long time coming. You're basically bringing in two guys to lead the charge individually on two of your flagship shows, to garner that interest once more, to bring back that viewership once more because of their experience. You have Paul Heyman coming in as executive director of Monday Night Raw, bringing years of experience behind the scenes at ECW, as well as behind the scenes as part of the creative on SmackDown, when on screen, the likes of him and mostly Teddy Long were the authority figures. He brought, as well as Stephanie McMahon, believe it or not, he brought that creativeness to SmackDown. He brought it. And people loved it. People loved it. They couldn't get enough of SmackDown. And in recent years, he's kind of been given a chance to kind of give some creative say and creative pull on both shows. And the things that he's been in charge of, he's helped executively direct or produce, people have loved. So now that he's in a full-time position of power as executive director of Monday Night Raw, can he bring that magic, that same magic again, to the flagship show currently of WWE, Monday Night Raw? Can he do it? The same goes for Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff has proven that he's given an opportunity to seize control and run things the way he felt they need to be run. He can put on a good product. There is no doubt. Remember, he came up with the idea to do the NWO and turn Hulk Hogan heel. No one thought Hogan would ever turn heel. Bischoff convinced him to do it. Convinced him, and off to the races we went. He knows what he's doing. He comes up with ideas. Ideas that SmackDown can benefit from. So whatever he comes up with first for SmackDown will really get people talking. Heck, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking one of the first things he should do is turn Roman Reigns heel. Finally get that done with. Get it out of the way. Because I think Eric Bischoff has said himself, you do this to Roman, sky's the limits. But who knows? Who knows? Because even though this is great news, and sometimes people might look at it as news of desperation, there is one common denominator not everybody's thrilled about when it comes to this news. And that is that despite the fact that they are in this position of power on both shows individually, they both have to report to Vince McMahon. They both have to report to him about what they've come up with. And that might sound bad. That might sound bad to a lot of people, because a lot of people will be like, well, what's the point of bringing them in if they just got to report to Vince McMahon and he may just ixnay any ideas they have? That's a good question. That's a good question, and a major thing to worry about. But those that reported this, and those that have talked about it so far, have all said one thing. Either it's the same thing everybody else has said, or it's something very similar. And that is, Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman wouldn't take positions like this. They're smart men. They would not take positions of power like this if they weren't guaranteed to have the final say. If they weren't guaranteed that even if they have to report to Vince McMahon, he won't overthrow their ideas. He won't overwrite them. He won't overrule them. He'll let them have the ball and run with it. And that is true. Despite how you feel about Bischoff, despite how you feel about Bischoff and Heyman as on-screen characters, as people you meet and talk to in real life, the fact is both men are very intelligent, wise businessmen. They have business savvy. They have creative minds. They have years, decades worth of experience. And they know that if they're given a position of power as this, they know whether to take it or not. If they don't want to take it, they know if they deny to take it, they deny it because they know they probably won't have the power that they're being told they'll get. Or they're going to take it because in the contracts or part of the agreement, handshake, contract, whatever, they're guaranteed full control. They can come up with any ideas they want and run with it. Now, some people might say that the one thing that might hold them back besides Vince McMahon is the one thing that got reported today. See, on ringsidenews.com, it was reported that Kurt Angle did an interview. And he said that the people that really kind of run the ship around here are the shareholders. And that that despite how much fans want the WWE to go back to that attitude, ruthless aggression, TV-14 era, it's not going to be, because the shareholders are happy with WWE trying to keep it a family-friendly, PG product. So the question now remains, how does someone like Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman work around that? It's real simple. It's real simple. You see what WWE does before WWE does on the WWE network before they show some of their events, or before you play some of their past events, whether they're recent events, pay-per-views, or past events that have occurred over the years. They usually put up a warning. They usually put up a warning telling you about, what you're about to see, and that it may not be suitable for everybody. WWE could please the shareholders still, and Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman know that they could do it by working around the system. Eric Bischoff has had experience. Paul Heyman has experience working the system. They have experience doing so. They have experience working around the system and getting things to go the way people want, they want, without worrying about anything. One of the things that they came up with they could come up with, is putting a warning before the shows air. saying that what you're about to see may not be suitable for everyone in the family. Parental guidance is suggestion. And then you can bring up that TV-14 rating, because at least you're warning people. And by warning them, you're kind of, in a sense, putting up that warning. You're kind of pleasing the shareholders, because at least they know you're telling people, hey, you don't want to watch this. There may be some stuff on here that may be not suitable for kids, so you may not want those kids to watch it. So it's really in the... So when it comes to Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman, they can come up with these things. They can come up with scenarios like that. But will they succeed? The only question is, the question to that is, we'll have to find out. But more importantly, another question is, when do they start? Do they start immediately? Do they start after Extreme Rules? When do they start? When do they start, and what do they take care of? Well, one, again, people have said, given suggestions of what they could probably take care of and get rid of right off the bat. The wild card rule, the Shane McMahon push, Lacey Evans, Baron Corbin's push, Alexa's push, anything that pretty much WWE could probably look at and say, yeah, fans that Bischoff or Heyman have looked at, Bischoff has even criticized it, looked at, said, yeah, this is not going to work. Those are the kind of things they would want to see be taken care of, be rid of. But we'll have to wait and see, because again, they do have to report to Vince McMahon, and whether or not they just report to Vince and say, hey, we're here to take care of business, or they report to him with ideas that they come up with, and he either says, go for it, or he denies them. That's another story entirely. A story that we have to wait to see get unfolded whenever they officially begin in their roles. So with that said, guys, this is good news. But the question remains, what will Heyman and Bischoff bring to the table in their new roles behind the scenes? Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. And I'll talk to you all later.